Hey everybody, today we are going to really quickly go over how to remove and reinstall wheel studs in spacers. So what I've got here is essentially a 25 millimeter or 1-inch spacer that we use on the race car. The studs that came in it are probably almost half an inch too short. So we only get about 2/3 engagement on a lug nut. So we can't even get a lug nut fully on here, which definitely is not good. So I'm going to install some longer studs in there. And that way we have a situation where we are getting full engagement with the lug nuts and we don't have shit falling off the car as we go down the track. So let's get into this here. So I'm just doing this with a vise because I do not want to press. Maybe someday, maybe. But to remove, we need to push this out. On the back sides of the studs, you have this, they call it a knurl. Basically, they're little grooves cut in to the stud, okay? And as those press in, you can see in here, maybe, yeah, right there, you see those little matching grooves. So that'll go in there, lock into those grooves, and that is what prevents this thing from spinning when you tighten the lug nuts. So that's a very important thing. When you go to buy studs, there's a lot of things to consider. You just don't match the thread pitch and figure out the length you need. There's more to it. You have to make sure you get the knurl size correct. I think you can have a variation of like, let's see, I think the knurl on the existing one was 0.55 inches and this one is like also 0.55 inches. But when you go to look for these, it's going to be a dizzying array of choices when it comes to the knurl. So get yourself a little micrometer if you don't have one. Check the knurl size because that is very important. If that is too small, it's going to fall out. If it's too big, you're not going to be able to press it in. And then also your shoulder length is kind of critical too. So, but those are two big things. And then obviously your thread, you want your thread pitch to be correct. And then you need to know the length that you're adding on. So, all right, that's all out of the way. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to put this in here like so. I'm going to put this socket on the back side. The socket is larger than the head of the stud. So as I push the stud through the spacer, it's going to fall into this opening, okay? And this will be pushing on the back side of the spacer, okay? So that way when we push on the stud, we're not pushing on the back side of the stud. We're just pushing on this side and pushing it through. All right. And I am also going to put a little piece of scrap aluminum in here so I don't mangle the end of the stud. Make sure I get this lined up fairly straight and start squeezing. And just like that, you saw it pop already. And just like that, okay? So that guy pushed right out. Now, when we push the new one in, we need to do the opposite. We need to put a socket on the front side so that we can push on this back side. So in this case, deep socket over the front there. And when I start, I'm just gonna leave it like this. But once I get it started, I'm gonna have to put something on the back side to push it all the way through, because it's not going to get in there deep enough otherwise. That guy in there, and I'll make sure I get my grooves kind of matched up there. You'll be able to feel these as you kind of spin them. You feel where they lock into place there. Okay. All right, so just as I start squeezing, it starts pushing in right away. And there I'm as far as I can go. Okay, so that is now started in there. So I'm gonna have to get something on the backside here to push that in the rest of the way, because that's gonna be recessed about 1/8 of an inch or so. I'll get a small socket for that. Something about like yay. That'll work. So get the big socket back out. This guy in there. You need about one more set of hands typically. There we go. And then I'm just gonna squeeze this until that stud can't go any further. Which appears to be right there. There we go. Studs pressed in all the way. We will now be able to have full engagement on our lug nuts, which in turn is gonna hold our wheels and tires on. So, quick, easy job. Well, for one of them. I've only got 19 more to go. But you get the idea. Pretty straightforward. Something you can easily do with a vise and a few sockets. And yeah, have fun with that. All right, thanks everyone.